Greetings, adepts and ascended masters in training. As you know, I'm Greg Bryant, and I know it's been a minute since you heard from me, but I haven't forgotten you. Been dealing with some sickness, had a death in the household, and I've also been learning so that I can have something comprehensive to say to you. Oh yeah, by the way, this video is brought to you by me, because I haven't sold out yet. Anyway. Today's video is a book review. I actually found this book. It's called Ferocious, a folk tantric manual on the Sapta Matrika cult. It is written by the Sepulture Society, which is supposedly a group of practitioners that experiment and find the easiest ways to do things, and then I guess they write these books and they kind of do reports about it. I found out about this book from Foolish Fish on YouTube. I really like his review of books, and when I found out that this was about the Eastern cult of an unorthodox version of the Tantric arts, I had to get it. Couldn't find it in America. I had to order it, and it came from Germany. But this is in English. Now this book right here, as you can see, it has golden lettering. It has a hardback. It's very well made. And they have different editions of this book. This one is red because it's dedicated to one of the goddesses that is mentioned in this book. And you've got the different colors, and each color is dedicated to a different goddess. Now, the Sapta Matrika is about 7 Shaktis, or powers. Usually they are the wives of some of the main Hindu gods, but not all of them are wives. And the story behind it is that the gods could not defeat these demons, so the Sapta Matrika, which means 7 mothers, they came through and they actually destroyed the demonic army. They devoured them, they killed them in all kinds of manners. And these 7 entities, these goddesses, are supposed to be very ferocious. They are feared because they are violent. I like this book because it went into the history and the lore behind these goddesses and the cult, and it talks about how depending upon the region where you worship these 7 deities, the worship of them can change, or even how you say a mantra changes because of the region that you're from. It also, I like the way that it talks about worshiping these deities, or just how to deal with them. A lot of people think that when you have a grimoire and you're doing magic, you have to stick to everything word for word. But here it says, if you feel like you're called to tweak something in here to make it a little bit more adaptable, adapted to you, as long as it still pertains to the goddess that you're doing the ritual to, but also has meaning for you, do it. It also talks about how your relationship can differ from somebody else's with one of the matrikas. It talks about having 3 options where you can treat the goddess or goddesses as either a sister figure, a lover figure, or a mother figure. And that is going to determine how the goddess treats you and how you do ritual with the goddess. Another thing it talks about is how the Matrikas are worshipped as a group, and how somebody who's just beginning may want to start off with worshiping as a group, and then they may find one of the Matrikas. They're attracted to one specific Matrika or a couple, and then you can kind of narrow down your worship of specific Matrikas. And I thought that was cool. I'd never really thought of the concept of worshiping or interacting with a pantheon, a whole pantheon of gods as a group instead of like singularly. Because I don't consider my interactions with any spirits as worship. Another thing that was good is they go over each Matrika and they talk about what kind of, personality each one has, because each one is very different. Each one has different symbolic things that they're holding in their hands, and they talk about how some of the Matrikas are more benevolent than others, and some are, more ferocious, vicious, violent. But all of them are going to be dangerous in a sense because they were the ones that, they swallowed up the demons and became a little demonic themselves. You are what you eat. But also they are a warrior pantheon. Some are better than others at warfare, but they came in and they kicked a whole army of demonic ass. So when they cover these goddesses, they'll have a picture. Here's an example. They also have pictures of the goddesses in statue form. Let me see if I can find it. Here's a statue form of the same goddess. And what they do is they talk about how each goddess may or may not have their own separate cult. And they go into the scriptures from whatever holy book they get this from, that shows like what their personality is like, what they're good at doing, and what they look like, the iconography. And it goes through all this. It goes through the iconography. It gives you the history. It gives you like 3 or 4 different mantras you can use, and talks about when you can use these mantras. It gives you a sample ritual, and sometimes it'll even give you examples of how to worship the goddess in contemporary times, because sometimes these goddesses, they carry things that we don't have access to. For example, one carries a trident because she fights with the trident. Well, I mean, a trident isn't a common item. So it'll say, hey, if this is a goddess of warfare, get something that symbolizes warfare. Like a bullet, an antique weapon, something like that to put on their altar. It gives you suggestions. Also gives you ideas. It talks about the associations and what they symbolize. Each Matrika has a specific animal that they ride. They have certain things that they hold in their hands that mean something. And what these things may mean in Western occultism is not going to be the same as Eastern occultism. And I learned a lot in this book. Because I'm new to the Eastern stuff, which is one of the reasons why I got this book. I wanted to know more, and it's vastly different from what I learned in Western occultism. And it's great. I like it. I like learning. Let's see. Talks about the modern worship of each of the Matrikas. Another thing that's worth noting is that some people don't just worship the 7, they worship 8, and they even go into the 8th Matrika that may also be included in your interaction with this pantheon of goddesses. So I mentioned, it talks about the different offerings you may give. And one thing that I like about this book, it doesn't shy away from saying, hey, some of these goddesses, they required blood sacrifice. But it talks about how that was shunned later on. But it says that, there are other options that you can give to these goddesses other than a dead animal that you killed. Yeah, that's about it. But it's a very good book, especially for beginners, because it doesn't dumb things down to the point where somebody who is an adept at magic gets bored. I almost couldn't put this book down. I was so interested in it. But I wanted to take the time to kind of like read it in little spurts and then kind of digest the information. But it does make it easy for a beginner to get into this practice, to kind of ease them in. It has moments where it has the noob in mind, but it's also good for people who are experienced, and it's good for educating people who are not familiar with the Eastern ways. Another thing about the Tantric magic system, here in the West, people think that the Tantric arts are all about sexual activity. And it mentions that this is not the case in the East, that the Tantric arts can include sexual ritual in order to gather energy and make a bond with the Matrikas. But that is not the only way of connecting with these goddesses. And that is not the main way or the main idea of practicing this system. Oh, what I didn't mention is that each of the Matrikas represents a vice. And it's not like the 7 deadly sins. The vices are a little bit different. But they help you to gain control of yourself and your emotions and these vices. They also help create a balance. I know that in my spiritual practice, sometimes my head gets in the clouds, and doing mundane things gets on my nerves, and sometimes it's hard to deal with mundane things and come back to this reality when you've been working so much with the spirits. But the Matrikas are the types of deities that help you find pleasure in mundane things and find a balance. They can help you with spiritual things, but they also help you to enjoy mundane things, which strikes a balance. And I know that this is very important, because if you're constantly doing spiritual things, you have your head in the clouds, you're constantly dealing with spirits, and you can't find any peace with being human, it'll drive you insane. And we all need to accept the fact that right now we're in a human form. To some degree, we have to live human life, so we have to enjoy whatever we can out of it, while we're working towards ascension. And I thought that it would be good to include these goddesses in my practice in order to make sure that I stay balanced and stay kind of anchored and enjoy my time here in this existence. And some of you may agree and may want to seek that out as well. So that is the extent. I haven't really contacted any of these goddesses, so I can't really tell you what they are like. You're just going to have to read the book and practice yourself and see if they come to you. I probably will later try to make contact with each of the Matrikas separately and probably as a group as well, and see what I get from that, and then I'll probably report on that later. So I would just like to say, yeah, welcome to 2021. Everything's still crazy, everything's still shitty, but there's still hope. And whatever I tell you, just, you can take it to heart, but I always encourage that you practice yourself. You find your own answers. Like, I'm just a person who can point you in a direction. I report on things, and if that's something that vibes with you, great, but always do your own work. Always. Your practice is very personal, and in order to get results, good results, quality results, you have to do this stuff yourself. You have to do the research yourself. You have to make a connection with these spirits and entities yourself. And I can't stress that anymore. I can give you hints and stuff like that, but my relationship is not going to be the same as yours when you establish contact with the entities that I have. So keep that in mind. So I hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody survived in 2021. And I hope everybody's ready to just step it up. It feels like there's been a lot more awakenings happening, and that a lot more people have been interested in learning about the spirits and different practices. So that makes me hopeful. That makes me hopeful. And hopefully everybody finds what they're looking for, because that's what I'm here to help you do. I would like to also kind of talk to the Christians out there who are on my channel. Like, first of all, I don't hate Christianity, and like, I've developed a better relationship with angels, but you need to understand that when Christianity factors into anything that I talk about, I'm talking about facts, and how it affects certain information or certain practices. I'm not really trying to make a jab at anybody's religion or offend somebody. I'm just reporting. All right, so I don't wish ill upon anybody of any different religion or belief system. Like, I believe that we can all coexist. We just have to act like big boys and girls. Okay? Let's be mature about things. Is that all I wanted to say? Yeah, well, whatever, But I'll talk to you guys later. All right? Peace out.